Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. Okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some, ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical.
That moment wasn't your typical heated exchange. It wasn't just a standard foul or one of those forgettable scuffles. What unfolded on the court felt like it was scripted for national television, a straight-up declaration sent loud and clear. You mess with Caitlin Clark, and you won't be hearing back from some league office email or a half-hearted whistle. No, you're going to get a full-on verbal and physical clapback courtesy of Sophie Cunningham, amplified in surround sound. And Caitlin? She didn't even blink. No theatrics. No complaints. Just pure focus, launching logo threes like guided missiles while the noise tried to shake her. Meanwhile, Sophie laid down the law clear and simple: step out of line, and you'll learn the hard way.
Marina Mabrey, who knocked Caitlin Clark down. I don't like these cheap shots, though. She got gouged in the eye. Cheap shots can't be happening, and it always happens. No. Caitlin is certainly going to be a storyline. She's a star. She's a dog. And the WNBA seemingly...
Marina Mabrey might have figured she could get away with delivering a cheap shot to Caitlin Clark, sneak it in, act like nothing happened, and stroll off like she hadn't just poked a hornet's nest. But what she didn't plan for was Sophie Cunningham, Indiana's resident fire alarm with a built-in nonsense detector. From the moment Mabrey tried it, Sophie had already locked in, tracking everything from across the hardwood like she was guarding national treasure. If Caitlin Clark is the WNBA's golden ticket, then Sophie Cunningham just stamped herself as the security detail, ready to clock in 24/7 with 0 days off. You can love it or hate it, but if you ride with Caitlin and back Sophie's smoke, go drop a goat CC and a spicy Sophie in the comments.
Last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Boom!
Wow.
JC Sheldon, that's cute. You want to poke her in the eye, then push her into a boom Mabrey thing? Go ahead. I'll take a take foul, and you'll eat the deck a little bit here. And then we'll get up.
Now let's roll it back to where this chaos really began. JC Sheldon, yes, the same one who's been stacking up a reputation for questionable plays, decided to take things to a new low. She didn't just bump or foul. She went straight for Caitlin Clark's face with her hand like she was conducting an eye exam in the middle of a fast break. There was no mistaking it. It was blatant. No basketball move. No excuse. Just a deliberate jab, and everyone in the arena. Even folks watching from the cheap seats saw it exactly for what it was: intentional and ugly.
Caitlin Clark was just assaulted. Bad. This is the worst one ever, bro. She was literally poked in the eye, then pushed to the ground by Marina Mabrey.
But it didn't end there. In fact, the situation escalated fast when Marina Mabrey decided to enter the chaos like a wrecking ball. With Caitlin still rattled from getting poked in the eye, Mabrey came charging in with a hit that looked more fitting for the NHL than the WNBA. She dropped her shoulder and flattened Clark like she was trying to earn penalty minutes, not defend a drive. It wasn't a bump, it was a calculated takedown.
Marina Mabrey basically just did what Kennedy Carter did on a whole nother...
And fans? They caught every second. The fan cam didn't miss a frame. Replay showed it in brutal clarity, a full-body shove that dropped Caitlin like she'd just taken a blindside blitz from a linebacker. It wasn't tough defense. It wasn't hustle. It was aggression, plain and simple. Targeted and deliberate. The kind of move that turns sports talk shows into war rooms.
The Fever and the Connecticut Sun got into it a little bit last night. Obviously, it all started with an eye gouge into a knockdown from JC Sheldon.
Caitlin is up there with the MVP, probably with Big Feast out in Minnesota.
I don't like these cheap shots, though. She got gouged in the eye.
Yeah, big time.
Gouged in the eye. Marina Mabrey, who knocks her down.
Mabrey just goes and shoves her onto the ground.
Marina Mabrey, this is ridiculous.
That's where Pat McAfee jumped in. Never one to hold back, Pat broke it all down on his show like it was game film from a UFC bout. He didn't sugarcoat a thing. That ain't basketball, he said with half a laugh and full disbelief. That's straight-up assault on the league's biggest draw. Frame by frame, he pointed out every contact, even joking that Caitlin might need to wear goggles just to survive the season. And the rest of his panel? Equally fired up. There was no debate, just agreement. This wasn't about physicality or competitive spirit. This was personal.
I don't like the blindside cheap shot. I don't like the poke in the eye. But I don't mind the
physicality.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of like competitive, how you doing, keep it moving. Especially at the WNBA with how much is at stake. You know, right now they're at a pivotal time.
Yep.
There's a CBA coming up, I think. I believe there is some sort, because remember they were talking about holding out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
there is some sort, I believe there is a CBA coming up. So it's like there's an opportunity now. What is the pivotal time? It's like having good basketball, good, having cheap shots, not good.
And if you've been following this rookie season, you know this wasn't Caitlin's first run-in with dirty plays. She's taken elbows to the ribs, cheap shoves in transition, trips, taunts, and more body checks than most first years ever experience. Through it all, she's had to eat it in silence. Because for the most part, her team? They just stood around. Shrugged. Let it slide. No retaliation. No statement. Until now.
Mind you, JC Sheldon has been hitting Caitlin in the face all game, fouling all game. The refs don't care. The refs act like their whistles are broke. She's fouling her nonstop again, hits her.
This time was different. This time, Caitlin had a force beside her, and that force was named Sophie. But Sophie didn't just show up to play basketball. She came into the arena like she was on a mission. When Sheldon and Mabrey took their shots at Caitlin, Sophie snapped into gear before the refs could even raise a whistle. She let out a yell that likely made people courtside check their phones for emergency alerts. She stormed into the chaos, stared down anyone thinking of testing the line, and made it clear that wasn't going to fly anymore. It wasn't just a retaliation, it was a message, a warning, a statement of team unity. Pat McAfee summed it up perfectly: you take a swing at Clark, and you better be ready for the floor. Sophie didn't show up to be a teammate. She showed up to be an enforcer, the Rodman to Caitlin's Jordan, the Draymond to her Steph. Every great player has a ride or die. Caitlin finally got hers.
Sophie Cunningham coming in there too.
She was barking the whole time too underneath the hoop at that.
When she was grabbing the head.
Is that like who she is? She's like an enforcer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like she was potentially brought in like a James Johnson type role for Tyrese Halliburton. And it's like, thank God. I think this is a good play, not a bad play.
You always need some. I don't know if they still call them. You need some goons on your team for sure, especially when you have a star like that. Yeah, when you have the golden goose, just like MJ was. When you had his teammates who would kind of protect him at times. When the dirtbag Detroit Pistons had those MJ rules. So this is what the Grace is gonna go through. Candace Parker kind of went through this. She came in the league, but yeah, Caitlin Clark's gonna continue to deal with it, and
Sophie's arrival didn't just change the mood, it changed the entire identity of the team. Her refusal to back down turned a passive bench into a roaring sideline. You could feel it. The Fever were no longer reacting, they were anticipating. They were energized. They had belief. And Caitlin? She responded like a star built for big moments. She straightened her back, cracked a smile, and then did what she always does, hit that signature deep three, smooth as silk, right in Sheldon's face. Then, with ice in her veins, she turned to the opposing bench and let the words fly. No flinch. No fear. Just fire.
Drop it with no hesitation. Last night, double team, step back, sideways. How you doing? Keep it moving. Then, how about her to the bench afterwards with a?
You like that?
Yeah, it was a. You like that, but that last one right here, this is a. Get to it. Get to it. Get to it. The punch is a.
This was the moment fans had been screaming for all season long. For months, supporters of Caitlin Clark had been pleading for someone, anyone, to finally step up, to stop letting the constant cheap shots and blatant fouls slide under the radar like they didn't matter. Well, Sophie Cunningham didn't just stand up, she stepped forward with purpose and drew a thick, permanent line across the court like it was drawn in bold black Sharpie. Her message couldn't have been clearer: try that again. Just try it. And watch what happens next. She wasn't asking for respect. She was demanding it.
She's a needle mover, and she's got an enforcer on the team now, and a black belt having Sophie Cunningham. Don't look now, the Fever are about to win WNBA title, just like they're about to win the commission.
But here's the thing, Sophie's reaction wasn't some hot-headed burst of emotion. No, everything she did was methodical. Every step she took, every word she barked, every rock-solid screen she set, it was all intentional, all planned. She wasn't just reacting to chaos, she was crafting a message for the entire league. Keep ignoring this if you want, but I won't. Sophie's role wasn't just to protect Caitlin, it was to flip Indiana's entire image. In one game, she helped turn the Fever from a team quietly trying to find its rhythm into a squad with an identity, tough, loud, and unbothered. The underdogs weren't rolling over anymore, they were setting fires.
She's one. She's a needle mover.
Caitlin is the one.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
And the effect on Caitlin? Instant. You could see the change ripple through her game like electricity. The moment Sophie stood beside her, Caitlin unlocked something different. She played unshaken, unleashed, untouchable. That lingering hesitation, that subtle glance over the shoulder after every hit? Gone. Replaced by the fearless version of Caitlin we saw dominating in college, pulling up from deep, creating magic without second-guessing a single move. It wasn't just a scoreboard win. It was a cultural reset. A giant, thunderous statement to the league: if you're coming for Caitlin now, you're not just dealing with her, you're running straight into Sophie Cunningham. And that's a battle you don't want. The days of Caitlin Clark being pushed around are over. Marina Mabrey found that out the hard way. You can throw elbows, sneak in shoves, play dirty, but if Sophie's locked in, she's not just playing basketball, she's guarding a movement in motion, a legacy in the making.
Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were.
As for Caitlin's response? Legendary barely scratches the surface. She absorbed the cheap shot like a warrior, no flailing, no complaints, no drama. Just ice. She stood up, dusted herself off, and went right back to business, locked in like a sniper waiting for her opening. And when that moment came, she didn't hesitate. Double-teamed, drifting sideways, practically falling, she buried a logo 3 like it was a warm-up jumper. No celebration, no theatrics, just execution.
We know that they're targets.
Yeah.
Caitlin understands it at this point, and I love that she is yet to waver. It's just like we're singular focus of next game. I'm getting back.
Boom bucket. No hesitation, no apology, no explanation needed. Then came the look, eyes locked dead on the Connecticut Sun bench. Still think I'm soft? She asked with her stare alone. She didn't need words. The fire in her eyes, the heartbeat in her chest, the glare that could burn through concrete, it said everything. She pounded her chest like a war drum, then let out a primal roar that shook the building. I'm the one. It wasn't a soundbite. It wasn't a moment. It was a message. To the league, to the critics, to anyone watching, you can try to bury me, but I grow through the dirt.
She just texts me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a 3 from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
JC Sheldon is there with her hand in her face.
Pat McAfee? He nearly came out of his chair. Watching from his studio, he dissected the moment like it was a defining play in NBA Finals history. You could feel the voltage coming through the screen. McAfee didn't just label Caitlin a dog, he went full throttle and called her that dog. Not in the casual, overused sense. No, he meant it like Kobe. Like Jordan. Like Steph. Like greatness. And what made it more powerful was that Caitlin wasn't just lighting it up with buckets. She was commanding presence. She wasn't just surviving in the league, she was reshaping it. Last year, Caitlin tried to play polite, tried to stay in the lines, bite her tongue, and take the hits. But this year? She flipped the switch. She's no longer adjusting to the WNBA. She's adjusting the WNBA to her.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabrey. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like.
Every three-pointer she hits isn't just a score, it's a statement. Each shot from the logo isn't just flashy, it resets the culture. Her range pulls defenders into panic mode, stretching the floor like elastic and giving her teammates open lanes and clean looks. And when teams overload, she doesn't flinch, she threads no-look bullets to cutters like lasers, throwing passes that look like magic tricks. McAfee put it best, her passes are so precise, all her teammates have to do is catch and shoot. And it's not just fans who are glued to her, media personalities, rival players, even league execs have taken notice. Caitlin Clark isn't just participating in the WNBA, she's defining it. She doesn't play under the spotlight. She is the spotlight.
Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is going to sell out tonight. She's going to be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle and I don't think anybody wanted that.
Let's be real, this isn't some overhyped moment. This is a legacy being built in real time. And Caitlin's building it the only way she knows how, brick by brick, shot by shot, and stare down by stare down. The fouls, the hits, the trash talk, they don't break her. They build her. Every time someone tries to knock her off rhythm, she responds with daggers, silencing crowds, benches, and entire broadcasts. And Sophie? She's not just backup, she's the exclamation point. Together, they're a force the league wasn't ready for. Marina Mabrey and JC Sheldon thought they could rattle the rookie into submission, but all they did was pour gasoline on a blazing fire. Caitlin didn't fold. She rose, and Sophie made sure that Rice came with thunder.
The officials don't get control of the ball game when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be.
This isn't the same Caitlin Clark who entered the league with wide eyes and a modest grin. That version? She's gone. The Caitlin we're watching now is a full-blown superstar. A fighter. A leader who knows exactly where she belongs, and she's got the power to prove it. And thanks to Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin's no longer walking into these battles alone. She's got backup. Real muscle behind the magic. So here's the new reality for every WNBA team. If you want to rattle Caitlin Clark, you'd better brace for the storm that comes next. Because Caitlin isn't backing down, she's rising up. And with Sophie guarding her flank, the game just changed. You wanted a headline? Here it is. You wanted a superstar? She's arrived. Her name is Caitlin Clark. And this? This is her league now. If you write for Caitlin and Sophie, drop GOAT CC and Spicy Sophie in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell, you're not gonna wanna miss what's next.